Hi everyone, my name is Hutchinson. I'm creative director on Far Cry 4.
This was supposed to be, well, not this. We have a party waiting for you.
So Far Cry 4, you're dealing with similar themes that have been in past Far Cry games, stranger in a strange land. Is there anything you're kind of doing to kind of toy with those conventions, mess with them for Far Cry 4?
Yeah, it's interesting. Whenever you're in a franchise, you start to find systems that work and ideas that work, and so we try to build on that and add new things, but also make sure that it's still the Far Cry that the fans have come to love. So yeah, even though it's again a fish out of water story in a lot of ways, we really wanted to change the tone of it. So in this game, you're playing a character called AJ who was born in Karat, but was raised in America. So his family has a history in the country. And so when your mother passes away, her last wish is that you bury her at Lakshmana. So you return to Karat with no real understanding of the place, but the place knows a lot about you. So we wanted that feeling, kind of, the idea of going to, a high school reunion, and everyone remembers a story about you, but but you don't know anybody. So if we get that sort of awkward feeling where everyone knows who you are, but you don't know who they are, then that's a great start for us.
And Pagan Min, he's the new kind of villain of the piece. I mean, are you playing your cards close to your chest with him deliberately, so he's kind of an unknown quantity when we come to play the game? Yeah,
I feel like we always reveal too much story in games. The game is about what you do anyway. So for me, the best narrative obviously is the narrative you generate as a player. But I don't want to give away too much. So Pagan's there. He's obviously a character who has a different relationship with the hero than the usual antagonist. And I think that's almost enough. That's about as much as we want people to know, so that they get to experience it for themselves.
I mean, Far Cry 3 was quite a rich world as well. It had its own wildlife ecosystem and all that. How are you kind of pushing that for Far Cry 4?
We have in the open world, I think, is the best we've built yet in a Far Cry game. We've taken all those sort of outposts and towers and ideas the guys had in 3 and elaborated on them. We have fortress outposts now. We have much more complex AI in the open world. We have new animals, from elephants to rhinos to the honey badger. We have a more complex hunting system. We have a karma system where if you help the local populace, you can then call them in to help you as AI combatants in future scenarios. So I really just think the whole world itself is a richer, denser place.
It's kind of a Ubisoft staple as well to have something that you unlock to unlock more of the map. Is that back for Far Cry 4?
Yeah, I think well, it's funny that idea of climbing the tower to unlock the area and get new quests and activities. I think it's the best version of it we've done was in Far Cry 3. It feels very natural. It's a really nice loop for the player. So that loop is there. Again, we've elaborated on it and deepened it, I think. But it's just one of many different loops in the game.
In terms of the environment of Kyrat itself, I mean, we can see from here that it's quite diverse. I mean, how diverse is it beyond what we're seeing here?
Yeah, so the open world in the game, I think, is much more diverse this time. So we've tried very hard to take you to the tops of the Himalayas, which you've seen here at Gamescom. So snow-filled environments where, there's less flora, less fauna, so it changes the player's tactics. We've built the, playable mythology in the form of Shangri-La, so you can go to some really outlandish locations in the game, again, which we're showing here at Gamescom. But overall, all we're trying to do is deepen and solidify that open world. So the villagers are talking about things that you've done or things that have happened in the game world, that the AI is aware of your history. There's lots of different things we're packing in there to try and get a more believable and diverse open world.
How does the Shangri-La sections, how do they kind of factor into the story? Where do they kind of fall into the story?
Essentially, it's part of the open world narrative, or we like to think of it as part of the open world narrative. So Shangri-La is a sequence of sort of zones that you can play through that tell the story of the myths of Karat. So it's the story of the legendary warrior Kalinag and his quest to free the Bells of Enlightenment. So you just sort of get the backstory to the universe that we've built.
Are there any kind of heavily populated areas in Kyrat, or is it going to be kind of small villages with little indigenous tribes and things? Yeah,
it's not. We don't I mean, in terms of environment, or cities or villages, they're more sparsely populated than, say, an Assassin's Creed game. We don't want to get into crowds. We try for smaller groups of characters. Hopefully providing a really focused challenge for the player.
And in terms of weapons, what's the kind of diversity there? We've seen crossbows and rifles and things. Do you have a machete as your main weapon?
Yeah, the main weapon is a traditional blade called a kukri, so that's there for all your sort of close combat needs. There's the usual array of shotguns and silenced pistols and sniper rifles and rocket launchers. Probably the most interesting weapon I think in the new game is the elephant. The weaponized elephant I think is probably our best new weapon.
Are you hoping to have a lot of surprises in the game then for people?
Yeah, I think that's it. Like, you know, we try to create a big tapestry embedded with opportunity and challenge, and let the player build their own story. So I'm really looking forward to, you know, checking out videos online, looking at what people are doing, you know, jumping on my PlayStation and hitting the, you know, search for Far Cry and watching people play. It's going to be really exciting to see what people do with the game. So Far Cry 4 releases November 18 worldwide on Xbox One, 360, PS4, PS3, and PC. Yeah, so I think as well, we spent a lot of time trying to add variety to the open world. So you'll have the usual, you know, lakes and rivers and streams and forests, but did they even notice?
I don't think they did.
That was amazing. Yeah.